Hello, my name is Haviland Stillwell, and welcome to a brand spanking new show on BroadwayWorld.com, FLIRT with Haviland Stillwell. FLIRT is a show where I will be interviewing various stars of stage and screen to discuss things that they're into, things that they're not into, projects they're working on, and all kinds of other fun things. So stay with me as we interview our first person, David Hyde Pierce, who is starring right now on Broadway in Curtains.
There's a special kind of aura around a show person.
Just ask the next waiter you meet.
He walks in fifth position, his voice is just grand.
He gives you the check, you give him a hand.
Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So you're in a Broadway show right now, Curtains.
Yes. Buy it.
I saw you on Tuesday night, and
Oh, you did?
It was great.
Oh,
I really
thanks.
enjoyed it.
Good.
You guys were out of town before you came into Broadway, yeah?
Yeah. We started out, well, we rehearsed in New York and then went to LA to do our out-of-town tryout at the Amundsen.
Right.
Big theater, center theater group out there. And they're also co-producers of the show. And so we tried it out there and ran it for a few months last summer.
Okay.
And then came back here beginning of last year, just about a year ago in January, re-rehearsed it and previewed in February and opened in March.
Are you still having fun with it?
Yes.
Okay.
We were actually all just talking about this because we're in well beyond 300, I keep wanting to say episodes, I know that's not right.
Yeah.
More than 300 shows now in New York, not counting previews, not counting LA.
I know that being in a long run, people have people who aren't performers are always saying, oh, how do you do the show that long, and how do you... But I mean,
how was it for you? Like, you've been in shows. Would you?
Yeah, I think it depends on the people who are there and kind of the energy.
It definitely depends on the company and the energy of the company. It depends on the piece you're doing, and also it must depend on what your part is.
Right.
I mean, I'm really lucky in this show, both with the people I'm doing and the piece that I'm doing, but also the part is one that you can find new stuff. I'll be finding new stuff right up to the last minute.
I know, according to Wikipedia.
Then it's true.
Which
You can
is...
stop right there, it's absolutely true.
Exactly. You were a security guard at Bloomingdale's?
Well, they're wrong.
They're wrong?
Yeah, they sort of conflated two different stories.
Okay,
Yeah.
tell me the story.
Before I ever came to New York, there's a performing arts center in my hometown, and I worked briefly for one summer as a security guard there.
Okay.
No one thought it was a good idea, but that's what I was doing. And then when I came to New York, my first actual job in New York, I came in the fall of '81, I worked at Bloomingdale's selling ties.
Okay, and so then you decided, I'll go into acting?
I was forced to. There was no future for me in ties. I'm not good at selling people on things. I remember when I was a kid in New York, and I rarely bring me in, but I'd go in and audition for commercials, and I just sucked. I couldn't say, I just couldn't do it.
Fantastic water.
Yeah. If you don't drink this, I don't know.
You're going to die, whatever.
It was hopeless, so I'm very bad at that. So fortunately, I'm not in a sales profession.
Okay. I feel like audiences are always really surprised to know that on stage, when we're in the middle of a scene, that we are having those communications.
While still being completely responsible and playing your character and being faithful to the show and not selling it out for a second. The life of the show, especially in a long run, is those moments of real communication.
Absolutely.
Where without saying a word, you're saying to your partner, I just stepped on your foot, didn't I? And she's saying, yes, you did. How much did it hurt? A lot. I'm going to get you later. With no word spoken. It's just...
Exactly.
And it's fantastic, and it just adds another layer. And from an audience perspective, all you get is that there's a real connection between the people. Which is, if that's not there, then you might as well go home.
It's true. It's very true. So you worked on The Simpsons a little
Yes.
bit. And how was that?
I loved it. I've done The Simpsons twice. Kelsey, of course, Kelsey has the recurring role of Sideshow Bob,
right?
The evil clown. And so they had decided when Frasier became kind of big to have me on in an episode titled The Brother from Another Sitcom. And so I played Sideshow Cecil. And that was a blast, and I think was the right way to do it. And so we just did an episode recently. And the same thing, we got to play together again. And it's fun because it's, especially now that Frasier's been off the air for a few years, to get to sort of fall back into those roles, and yet it's some demonic, perverse version of Niles and Frasier.
Right.
It's a blast.
What's like a really bizarre thing that happened on the set of Frasier?
Oh, let's see. The bizarre thing on Frasier that I can tell you. Well, there was the day the dog went insane.
Okay.
Yeah, the writers discovered that the dog was really good at doing tricks. So they would have him, you know, go and steal something off the dining table, or they'd have him go grab a Barbie doll and bury it in the sofa, or various things. And all he had to do was go out and hit his mark, which meant just going out and sit by Dad's chair. And instead, he went out and cycled through every single trick he had learned from the past, like 5 episodes. So he was up on the chair, and he's up on the table, and he went and hid in the sofa, and then he ran around, and we were just lost, and that's when we realized, you know, doggy brains can only take so much.
The dog is insane.
Yeah, so they backed off, and fortunately let some of the rest of us have a shot at things.
So you recently, last year, came out sort of publicly, very publicly, and I'm wondering why it came up at this point.
What had happened was I had mentioned it previously in interviews. I had done an NPR radio interview a few years before, I think when we were starting Curtains, where I happened to mention my partner. And the time I did that, I thought, okay, well, you know, it's time, I'll just say it. No one cared. And years ago, when Frasier was first on the air, we were in the tabloids. We had tabloid reporters outside our house taking pictures. I thought most people, anyone who cared, probably knew. My favorite reaction, a friend told me there was one on the internet from someone in Europe who said, "Who cares? Isn't he like 100?" So that to me was I think I take that with me as my most supportive, you know.
Before then, or at any point in your career, do you ever feel like you didn't get a role because someone knew you were gay, or has that ever been an issue at all?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, I think probably I haven't gotten roles because of everything about who I am, just like I've gotten parts because of everything who I am.
My dream is that not just as actors, but as the world, it will be a total non-issue.
I think it will. I think it will, and in many places it already is. In many places it's still
well, like our government.
Yeah, like so many things. There's a lot of race and everything else. There's still a lot of places where it's shocking how clever we are at dividing ourselves from each other.
Have you been into this election drama?
Well, I've been following it like all of us.
Yeah.
We're all so excited to have people that we can believe in, to have more than one choice of people that we can believe in, and people we think could actually maybe lead the country. I think it's a great time.
Yeah, I agree. I have this theory, though, that because of the writers' strike, we don't have any TV, that everyone is watching CNN and MSNBC and sort of getting into it like as if it's
That's
our
the most
drama.
depressing theory I've ever heard. I was hoping that people just finally were mad as hell and not going to take it anymore. But you're right, it's probably just because like Lost isn't on.
But you know, it is actually really exciting, and I'll hear from 19-year-olds who are really fired up about it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I had friends who, even as recently as the last election, would say, "Yeah, I don't want to vote," and I just thought,
why?
What do you mean you don't want to vote? It's like you see what's happening. You have no, and the reality was no, they had no opinion. That's one of the crazy things about this country. We're so insulated. We're so big that we can kind of live our lives without thinking about anyone else, which is what drives everyone else crazy.
So tell me about your hoodie.
Oh, this is actually cool. This is part of I work with the Alzheimer's Association, and they have this new campaign called the Champions Campaign. We've just hit the mark where 5 million Americans have Alzheimer's, which is terrible.
Oh, God.
So what they're trying to do is get 5 million Americans to go to the Alzheimer's Association, sort of register, sign up, do something to help move the cause along. There's a website called www.actionalz.org.
Okay.
And that's the champions sort of, and the other website you should know about is www.alz.org, which is for anyone who's dealing with Alzheimer's or has questions. That's the main site. It's a great organization, the Alzheimer's Association, and they have all the answers that we have right now. They have.
I was thinking of this expression that I always hear, and people always will say to me, like, well, what's going to happen when you make it? But what do you think that even means, like making it?
I think that making it is like committing white-collar crime. In the sense that I bet most of the people who commit white-collar crime don't really realize that they've done it until it's already happened. You know, little things happen here and there, and suddenly, oh, I have all this money in my account, and it's not mine.
Right.
And there wasn't ever a moment, even with getting Frasier, you know, you get a TV show like that, you never know if it's going to be, have a second week. And then it does, and then the ratings are good, and then you kind of turn around and it's been 11 years.
Right.
And now I could certainly say, yeah, I guess I've made it, but I couldn't pinpoint when it happened. And I just know that I have been able to, throughout all these years, been able to do parts I love, working with people I respect, and I guess that's the it that I always want to make.
Right.
It's obviously, I'm going to say it's a great show, so you can't really believe what I say.
No, but it is a great show. You're
fantastic
totally
family
adorable
show.
in it.
Thank you.
So adorable. And you can visibly and audibly hear everyone kind of go, oh. It's just like, oh, we love him.
Oh,
it's
that's
so
great.
adorable.
That's great. Well, you know what? It's an old-fashioned Broadway musical. They don't make them like this anymore, but written by the best in the business, Cantor and Ebb. So it's a great opportunity to see Broadway.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
Me.
And
pleasure to be
good
here.
luck with the rest of Curtains and everything.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Thank you. Thank you for watching FLIRT. Come back to BroadwayWorld.com next time. And for now, look what I got. Time to move.